Welcome to Nginx Mastery. 13 lessons that take you from never having installed it to running real production HTTPS traffic. Nginx is one binary doing 3 jobs: web server, reverse proxy, and load balancer, and it sits in front of more of the internet than anything else. Over the next 12 lessons, we'll build that up in order: install and health check, then configs, then serving content, then load balancing, and finally HTTPS with Let's Encrypt. No prior Nginx experience needed. I'll assume you're comfortable on the Linux command line, and we'll take the rest one step at a time. So before we touch a config file, let's get the map straight. Nginx really is one binary doing 3 jobs. First, it's a web server. It hands out static files like HTML, images, and JavaScript, and it does that on tiny memory while holding thousands of connections. Second, it's a reverse proxy. It sits in front of your Node or Python app on some random port and presents it to the world as a clean HTTPS site. And third, it's a load balancer. Same idea, but spreading traffic across many backends instead of one. Same binary, different sections of the config, and we'll go through each role in its own lesson. Here's the full path we're walking together. 13 lessons grouped into phases. We start with foundations and a first install, then move into config anatomy, then serving real content, then logging, then the proxy work, then HTTPS and hardening, and finally a real production deploy. Each lesson stands on the one before it, so please don't skip ahead. Lesson 09, Load Balancing. Won't make any sense if you haven't done Lesson 08 on reverse proxy basics first. Linear path, no detours. Before we touch Lesson 1, 4 things need to be in place: a modern Linux box, Rachel, Rocky, Alma Linux, Debian, or Ubuntu. WSL2 is fine for learning, but real Linux for production. Sudo access, because Nginx binds to ports 80 and 443, and those are privileged. Those same ports actually open through your firewall or cloud security group. And optionally, a domain name, which you'll only need by Lesson 10 when we add HTTPS. Sort these now. An hour spent here saves you from getting stuck later. With the prerequisites sorted, let's figure out who you actually are, because 3 different readers will land on this course. If you're a new sysadmin handed a server and told to figure it out, go linearly, 1 lesson a week. If you're a polyglot developer who already knows HTTP and just needs Nginx in front of your app, scan the basics and slow down at proxying and load balancing. And if you're changing careers into web ops, take it slow. 2 weeks per lesson, every cheat sheet matters. Whichever path you pick, every lesson follows the same 12-slide rhythm. Slides 1 and 2 get you oriented, title, and what you'll learn. 3 through 7 are the real teaching: a signature visual, a few deep dives, and a slide on the deeper why. 8 and 9 are your cheat sheet, the page you print and tape next to your keyboard. And 10 through 12 are where you actually do the work: 3 exercises, 5 common mistakes, and a handoff to the next lesson. Before we go any further, let's set expectations by talking about what Nginx isn't. Nginx doesn't run your Python or PHP code. That's a job for a backend behind it. It isn't a database, it isn't a full web application firewall, it isn't a complete API gateway, and it isn't a monitoring stack. It does caching, not persistence, rate limiting, not deep packet inspection. Knowing these limits up front saves you from forcing the wrong tool into the wrong slot. So why did Nginx overtake Apache in the first place? 3 structural reasons. 1. It's event-driven, so a single worker juggles thousands of connections instead of spawning a thread per request. That's the original C10K breakthrough. 2. Configuration is centralized and declarative. No surprise overrides from some access file 3 directories deep. And 3. Reverse proxying is native, not bolted on, which matters because that's exactly how modern apps are deployed. Before we go any further, here's the vocabulary the rest of the course assumes. 3 columns: config terms, directive, context, server block location upstream, operational verbs, reload versus restart, graceful shutdown, the two log files, and request flow, client, request, response, and the proxy pass chain that hands traffic to an upstream. The one distinction worth burning in now is directive versus context. A directive is a single line ending in a semicolon. A context is the curly brace block that holds directives. Mix those two up, and every config error message in the next 11 lessons will read like nonsense. With the vocabulary in hand, it's time to put it to work. 3 drills, 30 minutes, and the goal is simple. By the end, your environment matches what every later lesson assumes. First, provision a Linux box. Cloud VPS, local VM, container, your call. Just confirm RHEL 9, Rocky, Debian 12, or Ubuntu 22 and up, with sudo working. Second, open ports 80 and 443, and actually verify traffic gets through with a quick Python http.server test. Third, circle back to the prereqs and vocabulary slides so nothing's hazy when Lesson 03 starts building on it. Don't skip these. Lesson 02 assumes all 3 are done. Before you dive in, a quick warning. 5 mistakes derail learners between here and Lesson 02, and each one costs real hours. Shared hosting won't work. You need root. Always verify ports from outside the box, not just localhost. If Apache is on the system, disable it before installing Nginx. Skip Docker for now. It hides the very networking you're here to learn. And type every command. Reading isn't the same as understanding. Avoid these 5, and Lesson 01 starts smooth. So that's Lesson 0. You've got the 13-lesson roadmap. You know Nginx wears 3 hats: web server, reverse proxy, load balancer. Your prereqs are sorted, and the vocab is in your back pocket. Next up, Lesson 01. What Nginx actually is, where it fits in your stack, and the cases where you genuinely shouldn't reach for it. Grab a terminal, and I'll see you there.